Kia ora koutou, and welcome. Thank you for joining today on this bright, beautiful day outside in Dunedin. Today with us, we have some very special guests. From Kotahitaka, we have Malcolm, Nolan, Latika, and Jessie. So let's get into it. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
So maybe we should get into it. I'd like to give you guys an opportunity first, but before I do so, let me thank you and acknowledge the time that you have taken from your schedules today to come speak to Dunedin Multi-Ethnic Council. And I'd like to acknowledge the work that you guys have done. And maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit more about what is Kotahitaka. Malcolm, can I ask you to start, please?
Kia ora koutou, ni hao, leho, namaste, and salam alaikum. Well, Kotahitaka came from an idea from our chairperson, Nolan, and a group of her friends to do something in commemoration for the unfortunate incident 2 years ago, the mosque massacre. So it came from that, and unfortunately what we started to do last year was kiboshed by COVID-19, and this year we decided that we would do something which would be, well, able to be done in the time frame that we had, and also given the possibilities that still things weren't certain. So I'll leave it at that and leave either our secretary Jessie or our chairperson Nolan Hung to carry on with that.
No,
Okay, well, Jessie. Oh, okay. Well, I can say that we were hoping to have a multicultural, multi-ethnic type day where we celebrated all the diversities within Dunedin. And as Malcolm said, COVID put a stop to that. So we then, I suppose, well, I personally had a little sulk, but I'm not sure about the rest of it. I guess we had other things to think of at that time. And then actually it was Paul Gooley who came up with the idea of this book, We Are Ōtepoti Dunedin, where we could showcase some of these cultures, ethnicities that we were hoping to celebrate in the form of a hard copy and digital book. And I think I might hand over to Jessie because Jessie's been involved in putting that together beautifully.
Yeah, well, so basically what we wanted to do was we wanted to try to create a living memory. It sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, but a snapshot of how diverse and colorful Dunedin's makeup is these days. And so we worked together with DMEC to reach out to different community groups, and we were hoping for, because first of all we did not have a lot of time to put this together, and second of all because it was the first time doing this, we were looking, to hope to get maybe 15 groups. As it turns out, we've had 20 submissions from a really lovely, broad spectrum of different cultural and ethnic support groups. They vary from the Burns Society to Tai Chi to Ragiamam. I'm going to mess this up. Ragalayam tantric music.
Yes,
it's wonderful. We've had wonderful uptake. The groups, we gave them a very simple template. We said, what is your group? When were you founded? What is your reason for being, and what does Dunedin mean to you? And some of the people gave us a great deal of text. Some of the people gave us some beautiful photographs. The book is an A3 format, and it is hardbound, but it's bound the way some photo albums are with pegs, so it can be, each year more pages can be added to it. And yeah, I think
that's
really
wonderful.
Been really happy with how many people picked up on contributing to this.
Yeah,
So you say
one,
there have been 20 groups. Sorry, Malcolm.
20 groups,
Sorry.
yeah. So we have 20 groups. Excuse me, I'm about to be joined by somebody. Sorry. Yeah, from I mean, I could list them, but I think that it would be more fun for
Okay,
people to
no, that's
come to Toitu on the 28th and see for themselves, because we will be projecting the pages as well.
wonderful. Yeah, sorry, you were saying, Malcolm?
Oh, yeah. So while it's a snapshot at the moment, at this point in time, as Jesse said, because it's got pegs and it's a living document, so that we can add to it and add to the rich diversity that we've got in Dunedin. So for those that are worried that they missed out this time, there's always opportunity to add to it next time. And being at Toitu, it'll be there as a safekeeping as well, and it's an appropriate place that we can archive this, because Toitu is our social history museum for Ōtepoti. We're extremely grateful for the DMEC for its, not only its financial contributions, but also for being able to tap into its network to get reach out to the ethnic communities. And also, we're very thankful for Mana Whenua and Upoko Edward Allison for his fine introduction and welcome from Mana Whenua in Dunedin, which really elevates the status and the mana of the book to something which we wouldn't have had we not had their input. So it's been a great collaboration for the short amount of time that we've had, really, and that's really what we really wanted to do. So
Yeah.
so
No,
it's great.
thanks a lot. When you were at our last meeting and you had explained together with Korumak on how the book was going to come about and the stories that would unfold, I think, I was quite appreciative of the fact that also being an immigrant, that Dunedin, that Ōtepoti recognizes the ethnic communities and the stories that come from the people. Have you any interesting stories that have come about that you would like to give us a little taster of what to expect, or something that highlighted or stuck out for you when you were collaborating and putting together these stories, Jesse?
I think really just two things come to mind. One is just the joyous riot of color, and I mean that from we've got some beautiful pictures from the Tai Chi group doing their exercises in the gardens. People really, I think they really appreciated the sense of being asked to contribute, and I think the other is just how genuinely not grateful, that's the wrong word, but they have a genuine attachment to Dunedin and to this town. That, and if you look around at the trust, you can see we're sort of quite multicultural ourselves. I mean, obviously, with my accent, I was not born here, and it's a multicultural group, and I think we're really happy to be able to put the message out that we are trying to include everybody, and if we've missed people, we really apologize. This year, it was next year we'll be there.
So how can people get a hold? There's going to be the book that will be presented at Toitu on the 27th of March, if I'm not mistaken. How will other people? Is there access to the book on a digital platform?
Yes, it's on the 28th of March, the Sunday.
Sorry, 28th.
And the mayor is going to be, His Worship, the Mayor Aaron Hawkins is going to be there, and he'll obviously have a short speech as part of the closing ceremony. So we're very fortunate that he can spare the time and do this for us. Yes, the book, as I said, is the hard copy will be archived at Toitu, so for permanent safekeeping. But we understand, and through DMEC again, that they will be we'll put the book digitally on DMEC's website. Is that right, Jesse? Is that the
That's
plan?
my understanding. I think that's been confirmed. We'll have to ask Lux. He's in charge of that.
And of course, we hope also that when we present the book at the ceremony, that it'll be on a PowerPoint presentation on show at the time of the ceremony.
Yes, it will be screened on the
Yes.
big screen behind the information desk.
Oh, that's lovely. Nolan, on your side, what personally on what does this mean for you?
Well, I think it's an important step that we start to recognise all the cultures in Dunedin, as well as our mana whenua, as well as our Maori First Peoples, if you like. That was what really stimulated us from the massacre up in Christchurch, was that we didn't really have that much interaction with other cultures, even though some of us, have been here. Some are immigrants, some have been here for a couple of generations. So to us, it was important to try and contribute to bringing all these people together. As New Zealanders, we're all Kiwis.
Yeah, no, that's great. Latika, I know you said you didn't want to. What is your role been in the
I
putting
am
together
also in the
this?
background. I'm also in the background, and I'm just supporting Nolan in particular. And when we came up with the idea, I was one of the people she asked to get me involved. What this group means is that sometimes we need to say it out aloud. We are part of Dunedin, but we don't say it as often as we should. And there are so many different cultures here. I have lived in New Zealand. I have lived in Dunedin much longer than when I lived in my birth country. So this is home. And so it is very important that others also feel that they are home as well. And I think this is a good initiative to get people involved as well. We are quietly here, quietly home. And sometimes we need to say it out aloud.
Yeah, and I know when we spoke about it earlier on as well, and the meaning behind the book, and it was putting together the history and the rich diversity that Dunedin has, but also passing down the stories to the next generation and maintaining that.
It's true.
How does Kotahitaka ensure that our youth and the next generation gets to understand the stories behind the struggles, the history, and the good experiences as well? Is there a plan in the future for rolling this out to our youth?
Yes. Well, the plan is, as Malcolm said, it's a living document, and we want it to be handed down to our youth. Sorry about that noisy truck there. So we do want it to be there as a record for the future generations.
I think that's a good question that you've got too.
Sorry, Malcolm, what was that?
I'm just saying that's a very good question for Vanessa, and I think that these are the things that, as this book has started, it's not the end of everything, it's just the beginning. And so therefore we will look at our strategies for the future as to how to, as a trust board, to develop this book into something than just a snapshot of this particular point in time and in the future, but also, as you say, work together with other organisations to help ensure that the stories are told. There are other organisations in Dunedin, of course, who tell their own stories as part of their kaupapa. So I think we just need to sit down and just see what's the best way of doing this collaboratively.
Well, one of the nice things about the current situation or the current groups is we've gotten a lot of very positive input from both the Otago Polytech Student Association and the Otago University Student Association, and the Otago Medical Students Association as well. Thank you, Latika. But I think, you know, it hadn't occurred to me until you just mentioned it, but I think maybe this is something we could talk about bringing to the high school, to the colleges. They also have very active cultural groups in the colleges as well, and that might be fun to have them contribute pages next year.
I think that's very true. You have to realise that Kotahitaka is quite a new group too, so we're just finding our own feet and learning how we can contribute to these things.
So when did you start this? Is it, can I say it's an organization?
Yeah.
Okay. How old is Kotahitaka?
Well, with the massacre in Christchurch, that's when the ideas started to float, but it wasn't for about another year until we had the structure, the infrastructure established.
Oh, okay.
So we've really been around for about a year, I suppose, in any form.
Yeah, we started meeting initially in little groups, dinner groups, and that's where it all started. So
we
3 or 4 of us. Yeah.
Kotahitaka is a registered charitable trust, and that we registered that, I think, as Nolan says, by the time we got our constitution and our registration in place, it was just before March last year. So it'll be around about a year in terms of its legal standing status.
Yeah.
And if people, go ahead, Jessie.
I was just going to say, as Nolan had sort of mentioned in the very beginning, we had planned a wonderful multicultural day at the Dunedin train station for March, I think it was 25th, I can't remember, but essentially we had to make the hard call when it was becoming very clear that things were very serious. We had to cancel at the last minute, which was disappointing. We'd had a lot of enthusiasm. People were going to be displaying food and costumes and performances. It was going to be a special day, and we would still like to do that perhaps in the future. But we thought this year, with the uncertainty of levels, that we should try something much more compact.
Yeah. And if people are interested in contributing, not just to the book but to the Kotahitaka Trust, how would they go about doing that?
So Vanessa, we do have a website which I actually couldn't find just before we came on here, which was a bit embarrassing, but it's called kotahitaka.org.nz, and there are links from that take it to our emails that we can pick up. The other way to sort of find us and DMEC as well is to go straight to DMEC. They have a very well-established contact system through the Dunedin City Council and through the university. So we're not here to overtake anyone else. We do want to contribute and support others. So DMEC have been a great help to us in establishing this book even.
And when the book is done, what other initiatives do you have planned? Are you willing to share?
Yeah, probably not sharing yet. We've got a meeting planned to try and bring that forward. But if anybody has some ideas, we would welcome ideas as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. So going forward in the future with your collaboration, are there any other institutions or affiliations that you are collaborating with?
I think we started to collaborate them for the Multicultural Day because we had student groups that were coming in, we had school groups that were coming in to perform, and unfortunately they've all sort of been left at that point. But we must pick those up again and reinvigorate the enthusiasm that we felt at that time, because it was a spectacular enthusiasm.
Is this the Multicultural Day that's coming up in Race Relations Week, or is it a separate event?
Within Race Relations Week. So we haven't even attempted to do it this year.
Yeah, maybe not.
I think we're pessimistic that there'll be a lockdown of some type and only maybe not even 100 people allowed at a function. So,
Okay. Can I ask another question, just in terms of you have had close experiences working with the diversity of people and cultures and groups. What are some of the challenges? I mean, there must be intimate stories that are being shared during these times. Are you picking up on any specific challenges that are being faced right now?
Jessie, can you answer that from the?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have mentioned that there were times when they felt alone or felt homesick, that it wasn't always easy to feel accepted. But I think in general, people really were looking at the positive side for their contributions to this. So certainly they've talked about some of the tribulations that made them leave their home in the first place. I mean, I don't think that's an easy choice for many people to leave what they know and what they've known. But I think
it's always difficult for ethnic groups when they come to New Zealand. I just have to think back at my grandparents' time when they came over in the early 20th century. It must have been so difficult for them coming from a different culture where they don't speak any English, etc. And so I think that hopefully we've learned to be more welcoming to ethnic groups coming into Ōtepoti or into New Zealand, but the challenges would be languages, looking different, etc. And hopefully, as I said, that these things have become less and less. And I think that by being able to showcase their culture, these different ethnic groups, different culture, they'll feel less, sort of different or less separate, and so that we're all being part of Dunedin. So and we're accepting of these different cultures, and I think that's important. We've got diversity, that we understand each other through culture, through food and expressions, public expressions of everyone's culture, not being afraid to do that, which is, I think, is important for everyone's education.
Absolutely. And I think it was the Christchurch massacre that really highlighted that for us, because, I mean, how many of us actually had anything to do with the Muslim community? We hardly even recognized them being there. So it just highlighted there's all these other groups there.
Yeah, Vanessa, you had asked a question earlier, and it just occurred to me that something I would like to share, which is from the Myanmar group. They stated something that I thought was absolutely fascinating, which is that they're a small group. They've come together in Dunedin, mostly, I think many of them through the university. And the comment was, in Myanmar, we would never have met each other. We're from very different parts of the Nepalese, the Burmese culture, and we would never have interacted back in Myanmar. But now here we do, and I think that's a really interesting point as well.
Yeah, oh, that's great. I mean, just from my personal experiences as well, you know, in the many people that we've met along the way, funnily enough, we've tended to kind of make friends with other people who are also immigrants, because you kind of share the same stories, and even though you've come from another country, but you have similarities in that. But being with the Dunedin Multi-Ethnic Council has also created an awareness that we come from many places, but we're all the same. And we still have the homesickness. We still miss our families. We still want to maintain our culture. We want to maintain traditions. We want to be Kiwis at some point, but we don't want our children to forget. So, with that, in closing, can you give me, how do you envisage Dunedin in the future? and what is your hopes and aspirations for us as Aotearoa? Maybe we can start with you, Latika. I can see you are.
Yeah.
The Dunedin population is small enough, I think, where we appreciate each other much more. And I think bringing these kind of activities more so openly, we all will start to understand each other's cultures, food. And I'm looking forward to eating all the different cultures' food. I come from Fiji, but it'll be amazing to meet other people. And in these kind of forums are the places where we get more conscious that even though we have left our home, so this is home, but then we kind of still maintain our culture and we want to promote it somehow. And maybe these are the places in multiracial settings we can do that. And I'm also very conscious that our children are growing up here. They should not feel any different. And I think once we start talking about cultures openly, our young people will also start assimilating much bigger. And I'm hoping and wishing that we all feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
Oh, please. Yourself, Nolan?
Well, I'm not a. My father was an immigrant from the Netherlands after the war, and unfortunately, I didn't get to know him very well. So my family otherwise go back to, dare I say it, Australia at one point. So there's been the odd convict found back there, but it's. I mean, New Zealand is my home. I can't go to the Netherlands now. I can't get a passport there. This is my home. This is where I belong. And I want everyone, as Latika said, to feel welcome here and part of it.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Jess?
Well, for me, I mean, obviously, I am thrilled to live here. I did marry a New Zealander a long time ago, but we made a very conscious decision to come here to make sure that the girls went to school here. And this is, I mean, yes, I still have another passport, but this is home. This is where I have met the most wonderful people, my friends. You know, you're looking at 3 of them, and they're just people that I think if we still lived where we lived in the States for a while, I don't think I would have anywhere near as rich and diverse a group of friends as I have here. And I wish everybody to have that experience of being able to meet people who don't necessarily look the same as I do. But I mean, as I will tell you, she's an anatomist, that we're all the same underneath. You know, we all
Absolutely.
have blood, and you know, we are all the same. We're made up of the same DNA. And I just wish people would be able to look beyond their learned prejudices and go back to when, you know, people just take each other as individuals, and like, you know, you don't like everybody, you don't have to, but you shouldn't not like somebody just because of the way they look.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. So we have like just a minute left, but Malcolm, can I hear quickly from your side? Thank you.
Well, if you walk down the alleyway from the car park building in Murray Place to the Picture Theatre and the Octagon, you'll see on the wall there some representations and quotes from different parts of the ethnic community of Dunedin. One is the Lebanese, and I think there's a mural of Janet Frame. But the one I remember in particular, of course, is a Chinese one from my Uncle Bill, who says that as time go by, our new home becomes our old home. So I just leave it at that.
That is powerful. So we will look forward to seeing everybody at the museum on the 28th of March. And best of luck. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you for the work that you do. God bless. We'll see you soon.
Kia ora.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I gotta get the hang of these things.